Welcome back to Daily AI News at Let's Data Science. It's 2026, your 401. Today, we're diving into some pivotal developments from the future of machine intelligence to major product launches. Let's get to it. We begin with a critical security disclosure affecting one of the most widely used enterprise AI platforms. Palo Alto Networks Unit 42 has revealed a serious vulnerability in Google Cloud Platform's Vertex AI agent engine. According to the researchers, malicious actors can exploit overly broad default permissions to deploy what they describe as a double agent, ultimately exfiltrating sensitive credentials and data. The technical core of the issue lies in how Vertex AI agents interact with Google Cloud's metadata service and deserialize Python pickle payloads. Unit 42 demonstrated that a malicious agent could retrieve P4SA credentials, that's the per project service account, by leveraging these mechanisms. Once accessed, those credentials could enable cross-project access to sensitive resources, including Google Cloud Storage, Artifact Registry, and even Google Workspace data. The broader concern here is default configuration. The researchers highlight that overly permissive P4SA roles and OAuth scopes significantly expand the blast radius. In practical terms, if an enterprise has integrated Vertex AI agents into production workflows without strict scope restrictions, those agents could become a lateral movement vector across projects. Google collaborated with Unit 42 on fixes, but mitigation now falls squarely on cloud operators. The guidance is explicit. Adopt BIOSA, bring your own service account, enforce strict least privilege access, conduct immediate permission audits, and restrict OAuth scopes. For organizations building agent-based systems on Vertex AI, this is not a theoretical risk. It is a concrete reminder that AI orchestration layers inherit and can amplify underlying cloud misconfigurations. Next, a major regulatory development out of Australia that could reshape how platforms design AI-driven experiences for minors. The Office of the Australian Information Commissioner, or OAIC, has published a draft Children's Online Privacy Code. Public consultation runs through June 5th, with a final code required by December 10, 2026. This draft code applies broadly, not just to services aimed at children, but to most online services, including platforms primarily used by adults. That scope is critical. The code mandates data minimization, explicit and age-appropriate consent mechanisms, and a clear right to deletion for children. It also requires transparency around geolocation tracking and demands that explanations be understandable to younger users. For AI practitioners, this goes well beyond compliance checklists. It directly impacts data retention strategies, consent UX flows, model training data governance, and even recommendation system design. Systems that rely on behavioral profiling will need to justify and potentially redesign those pipelines under a strict minimization standard. Platforms will also need to increase parental consent visibility and ensure that child-specific safeguards are not buried in generic terms of service. Australia's move mirrors global momentum around child data protection, but what stands out here is enforceability and specificity. If adopted as drafted, this code will force architectural changes across analytics, personalization, and AI-driven engagement systems operating in the Australian market. Our third top story centers on Perplexity AI Inc., which is facing a proposed class action lawsuit filed in federal court in San Francisco. The complaint, brought by a Utah man, alleges that Perplexity secretly shared user conversations with Meta and Google in violation of California privacy laws. According to the filing, trackers were allegedly downloaded at login even when users were in incognito mode, transmitting sensitive chat data for targeted advertising and potential resale. The lawsuit names not only Perplexity, but also Meta and Google, alleging privacy and fraud violations. If these claims hold, the implications are significant. Conversational AI systems often handle highly sensitive user input, including financial and personal data. The allegation that chat transcripts could be routed into advertising ecosystems fundamentally challenges user expectations of confidentiality in AI search interfaces. For AI product leaders, this case underscores the need for rigorous data governance, transparent disclosure practices, and careful integration of third-party analytics. As regulators tighten privacy standards, as we just discussed with Australia's OAIC, legal exposure around conversational data handling is becoming a central operational risk, not an edge case. Our fourth major story comes from China's AI sector. Beijing-based Jipu, also known as Knowledge Atlas Technology, reported that its 2025 revenue rose approximately 132% to 724 million yuan. While that figure missed the mean analyst estimate of 760 million yuan, investor reaction was emphatic. Shares surged as much as 35% following the announcement. However, the earnings report also revealed a widening net adjusted loss of 3.18 billion yuan, reflecting heavy research and development spending. Jipu highlighted the performance of its GLM-5 model and emphasized accelerated adoption of domestic Chinese chips since February, a strategic pivot influenced by U.S. export restrictions and its designation on the Entity List. This is a familiar growth versus profitability narrative in frontier AI. What differentiates Jipu is the geopolitical overlay. The company's shift toward domestic semiconductor infrastructure signals a structural decoupling in AI compute supply chains. For investors and infrastructure planners, the takeaway is clear. Revenue growth in foundation model companies is being driven not just by product performance like GLM-5, but by strategic alignment with national technology priorities. Now, for a few other key updates in our lightning round. Researchers have published a large-scale framework using large language model embeddings to represent genetic variation across the human genome. Leveraging OpenAI's Text Embedding 3 large model and the open-source Qwen 3 model, they generated embeddings for 8.9 billion possible variants at 3 scales, 1.5 million HapMap3 and megavariants, 90 million imputed UK Biobank variants, and the full 9 billion variant space. Baseline tests show high predictive accuracy, and embedding augmented polygenic risk score predictions on UK Biobank data demonstrate practical utility. Importantly, the resources are publicly available on Hugging Face, potentially accelerating precision medicine research. In cybersecurity research, a team from the Polytechnic of Porto evaluated machine learning-based static Windows PE malware detectors across 6 public datasets and 4 external collections. While models achieved AUC and F1 scores in the high 90s in distribution, performance dropped sharply on temporally diverse and obfuscated datasets such as SOAR-L20M and ERMDS. The message to procurement and engineering teams: validate detectors on operational, diverse datasets and measure performance at low false positive rates before deployment. From the enterprise software front, Forrester is warning that since the 2024 launch of Agentforce, Salesforce has shifted toward bundling AI, data, and automation into multi-cloud deals. According to Forrester, customers often overspend 20 to 40% on unused or bundled licenses. The firm advises enterprises to treat renewals as structural renegotiations, using enterprise-wide license and usage analytics to carve out unwanted products before pricing discussions. And finally, financial industry groups, including the American Bankers Association, the Better Identity Coalition, and the Financial Services Sector Coordinating Council, report that deepfake incidents in fintech rose 700% in 2023 versus 2022. Their joint paper calls for stronger identity defenses, enhanced detection tooling, and coordinated federal and state policy action to counter generative AI-enabled fraud. And that's your AI briefing for today. The landscape is moving faster than ever, and we'll be here to track it with you. For more insights, visit us at letsdatascience.com. Thanks for tuning in, stay curious, and we'll be back tomorrow with the latest in AI.